In this video, we hope to build understanding around the fluidity of gender and emphasize the importance of provider and ADAP level competence around these issues. In order to understand gender identity, we must recognize the impact that social and cultural norms have on our own understanding of ourselves and others' gender. We utilized several different sources to develop this spectrum, and we want to extend a special thanks to the Trevor Project and Sam Killerman for their inspiration. Through a thoughtful consideration of the uniqueness and validity of every person's experiences of self, we can develop greater acceptance for all. Not only will this create greater inclusion for individuals who challenge the norms of gender, it will actually create space for all individuals to more fully explore and celebrate who they are. Greater inclusion of transgender, gender nonconforming, intersex, and everyone else in between will lead to greater understanding of the disparate impact HIV has on those often left out from modern clinical practice. Starting with gender identity, we define gender identity as the way people identify their own gender based on how much they align or don't align with what people understand to be the options for gender. Focusing on identity first, we see that gender identity is a spectrum, not a binary, meaning man or woman. In the first example, these sliders indicate that a person identifies more with their perceptions of womanness, while in the next sample, we see that a person may identify more with their perceptions of manness. Sometimes the sliders may center towards the middle, which can indicate that a person may be two-spirit or genderqueer, though we recognize that there exists an infinite amount of self-identity options. Next, for gender expression. We see gender expression as the ways one presents gender through their actions, dress, demeanor, and how those presentations are interpreted based on gender norms. Gender expression also works the other way, as people assign gender to others based on their appearance, mannerisms, and other gender characteristics. Sometimes transgender people seek to match their physical expression with their gender identity rather than their birth-assigned sex. Gender expression should not be viewed as an indication of sexual orientation. And for example, we see an individual may identify more on the feminine side more than the masculine side, regardless of their biological sex, while another person may identify both with feminine and masculine traits. And so we see a full range of gender expression and opportunities. Specific examples may be someone who identifies more as butch, femme, appears androgynous, or also is gender neutral. Next, for biological sex, we define this as the physical structure of one's reproductive organs that are used to assign sex at birth. Biological sex is determined by chromosomes, XX for females, XY for males, hormones, estrogen, progesterone for females, testosterone for males, and internal and external genitalia, vulva, clitoris, vagina for assigned females, penis and testicle for assigned males. Given the potential variation in all of these, biological sex must be seen as a spectrum or range of possibilities rather than a binary set of two options. So as you can see, the spectrum goes from femaleness to maleness, and in the first example, someone may identify and be seen on more of the maleness scale, whereas someone else might be more on the femaleness scale. Then an absence of either or a leveling of the sliders may indicate someone is intersex and someone who has both sort of female anatomy or male anatomy and opting to identify as the opposite gender from assigned sex at birth may represent a male to female or a female to male. Finally, attraction. We think it's important to indicate the difference between romantic and sexual attraction. So we see attraction as a term that refers to being romantically or sexually attracted to people of a specific gender. Our sexual orientation and our gender identity are separate, distinct parts of our overall identity. Although a child may not yet be aware of their sexual orientation, they usually have a strong sense of their gender identity when growing up. And so you can see there's attraction specifically to women, female femininity, or men, males, masculinity, or any other genders as well. And so you may see an absence of this being someone who identifies as asexual, all the way up to someone who may be pansexual or bisexual or attracted both romantically or sexually to people of all genders or specific genders.